What is up, guys? My name is Robert Donaldson, and today we are bringing you another NFL draft video, this time centered around Iowa quarterback C.J. Beathard, and I'm really excited to get into this video. The quarterback position for me is always really fun to analyze, talk about, break down, all of that, so I'm ready to go. Let's get this thing started. So to give a little bit of a background on C.J. Beathard, he is the grandson of former Redskins GM Bobby Beathard. A lot of you guys already know that. Also, in high school, he played his ball at Battleground Academy in Franklin, Tennessee. And during his tenure as starting quarterback for the Hawks, he led them to an undefeated regular season, a Big Ten championship appearance, and a Rose Bowl appearance. Also, at this year's Combine, he measured in at 6'2", 219 pounds, which is a little bit heavier than what he was listed at during his time here at Iowa. So with that all out of the way, let's take a look at the film and see what C.J. Beathard brings to the table from a skill set perspective. One of the first things that really jumps out about Beathard's game is that he's a really intelligent player both pre and post snap. In Iowa's system, QBs really have that authority to make checks and audibles at the line of scrimmage, and in regards to the run game pre-snap, Beathard does a really nice job of setting it up for success. The first play we're going to be taking a look at here comes against Iowa State in 2016, and what Iowa State's going to do here is come out with 5 players up on the line of scrimmage, and to combat that, Iowa is going to come out lined up in 12 personnel, meaning 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, and a running back. Now, before the ball is snapped, Beathard is going to see that safety at the top of the screen, creep down in the box a little bit, and to counter that, Beathard is going to flip the run away from that safety. So this is some pretty basic stuff, pretty bare bones, but I really think it shows how Beathard is able to get his offense out of a bad play and also set up the run game to have success.
The 49.
He's going to do a run check here, probably to the other side, from one side to the other, depending on where the safeties are.
Here's Daniels. Slips through a tackle. Daniels powers his way forward, still driving. Daniels fighting for extra yardage, and LaShawn Daniels showing the power down
the next play we're going to be taking a look at here comes against Indiana in 2015, and it deals with a different pre-snap situation regarding the passing game this time. So to make things a little easier for you to break down, all I want you to focus on here is the middle of the field and the top of the screen. So based on the initial look the defense shows, which is the look you're seeing now, there are 4 players on the line of scrimmage, 2 linebackers centered up the middle, a single high safety over top, and a corner at the top of your screen giving off the indication of man coverage. You can tell that because his back is facing the end zone. Now that we've let the play run a little bit, we're starting to see some pre-snap movement on the defensive side of the ball from the strong side linebacker position, indicating a blitz, and the corner at the top of your screen now showing more of a zone look with his back facing the sideline. Obviously, this is some pretty important information because it tells the offense which of the 2 linebackers is likely to stay home, and it also tells us that the corner will be looking to funnel that receiver at the top of your screen inside to that linebacker. And that makes things a little bit more problematic because that receiver is already designed to run an in-breaking route. And now that Beathard knows that, this is where he moves on to that next stage or next step of the process, the post-snap read. And at this stage, Beathard's goal is to move that inside linebacker out of the passing lane with something called eye manipulation, meaning Beathard is attempting to get that linebacker to follow his eyes to one side of the field and move himself out of the way of the throwing lane. And in this situation, it works like a charm. So this is the exact same play, just taken from a different angle. And what I think this angle really shows or highlights is the fact that C.J. Beathard's eyes start one way and it's all deliberate, and then they finish the other way. And what those eyes do is they actually move that linebacker on your screen. They move him over in the direction that CJ Beathard's eyes are initially pointing. And that opens up the throwing lane. This is just a really nice play from CJ Beathard, and it shows how he can combine his pre-snap knowledge with his post-snap ability. And again, just a really nice play, really intelligent play. And this is what CJ Beathard brings to the table. In addition to being an intelligent passer, Beathard also really excels in the area of ball placement, both from an understanding of it and from that physical standpoint of being able to place the ball in the optimal spot. Now, great ball placement can mean different things in different situations. You know, at times it can mean hitting a receiver in stride, allowing for yards after the catch, or it can mean placing the ball away from an oncoming defender, or putting it where only the receiver will have an opportunity to make a play on the ball. This is an area where I think Beathard really excels as a passer, because it's clear that he has an understanding of the importance of good ball placement, and he also has the physical ability to place it where it needs to be, whether it be in the screen game, short passing game, the deep passing game, or on the run. Beathard is really able to place the ball well, and having that kind of ability allows an offense to move the ball really efficiently. Every year the term tough or competitive gets thrown around a lot to describe some of the top quarterback prospects. However, a lot of the time I feel as though it's stretched or exaggerated to sort of fit a need on a scouting report to get a positive going. But with Beathard, it's legit. I mean, you take the time to watch this guy play, and it's impressive how often he's just getting completely drilled by an oncoming defender while attempting to complete a pass or finish off a run, and he always does it consciously, which is the biggest thing. You know, in the end, what sets Beathard apart is that he's willing to put his body on the line in order to help his team win. And it sounds cliche, but it's true. And I think it just speaks volumes about him as a competitor as well. You know, there are some quarterbacks out there who I've seen just quit or look defeated after taking enough punishment. And after 2 years, I can honestly say that after battling a number of injuries, adding on a brace, and dealing with a struggling offensive line, I can honestly say that I've just never seen CJ Beathard quit. And that's something I think a lot of Hawkeye fans will remember when they look back on Beathard's tenure as Iowa starter. The last thing that really stands out about Beathard's game is that despite playing in an offense that is geared more to being conservative and controlling the ball, he's always willing to and able to break through those constraints and come up with a big play when it's needed. And that's something that really separates him from your typical game manager style quarterbacks. You know, he's always looking downfield when the opportunity is there, and he's comfortable making a play with his legs when the pocket breaks down. You know, the word I chose to describe this aspect of his game is confidence, but you can really call it whatever you like. You know, operating outside the structure of the offense, or just having that confidence to make a big play at any moment. One of the things that really stands out as a weakness with Beathard's game, and it's something that really presented itself a little bit more in his senior season, is that at times Beathard shows some really questionable pocket feel and awareness. You know, whether it be trying to do too much with his legs on a play, or moving himself off balance, or moving himself into a sack. This is an area of Beathard's game where he'll need to show some improvement as he transitions to the next level. Because although it doesn't happen frequently, it does happen to the point where you need to acknowledge it and address it as a concern. One of the unavoidable concerns when talking about Beathard as a prospect is the overall regression he experienced going from his junior season to his senior season. Now, in 2016, Beathard saw his completion percentage take a big dip, his overall passing yardage take a big dip, his yards per pass attempt take a big dip, and his interception totals spiked. Now, it's hard to blame him for a lot of those dips and spikes, because he did lose his former number one pass catcher in Tavon Smith the previous season to graduation, and then early on in 2016 he did end up losing his number one receiver, his new number one wide receiver, and Matt Vandenberg to a broken foot. Also, in both of those years as a starter, there was never a solution found at either tackle spot. And after graduating his two best linemen in center Austin Blythe and guard Jordan Walsh following his junior year, 2016 really ended up being a rough year in terms of pass protection for him. But with that said, in 2016, Beathard also looked really out of rhythm, and he appeared to be less willing to use his legs in passing situations and in running situations. And with a new addition of a brace following his groin surgery in the offseason, he looked much less effective as a runner as well. For me, in my evaluation, Beathard's regression from year 1 to year 2 is very concerning. And although you can point to certain elements and try to justify his underperformance, it doesn't change the fact that he did look worse in 2016 as a player. And year-to-year progression is something that I value highly in college quarterbacks. And when you look at Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott, he's a great example as to why that is. You know, when I see a major regression in a quarterback in his final season, that serves as a pretty big red flag to me. Beathard's tenure as Iowa's starter was one riddled with minor and major injuries. You know, in 2015, a lot of you guys already know this, but he played the majority of the season with a serious groin injury. And it was an injury that required surgery in the following offseason. And then in 2016, despite declaring himself fully recovered, it seemed as though in every single game he played, there was a close-up at one point or another where he was seen hobbling off the field or limping off the field. And, you know, that might not have been the groin injury, because what Beathard didn't do a good job of during his time at Iowa was protect himself as a runner. You know, he was always taking hits on the end of runs. He was never sliding to get down. And although I love that or admire that display of toughness, in the NFL, that style of sort of reckless play is going to end up doing him more harm than it does good. In Iowa's offense, Beathard was put in a position to be a really great field general or director, and he was. But now as he begins his transition to the NFL, Beathard has a lot of questions to answer after coming off a season where he seemingly regressed. And at the next level, I do see Beathard being able to stick around for a long time, or at least a while, given what he brings to the table. However, I don't see him ever being more than just a solid backup or a spot starter in the NFL. And for that reason, my final grade for CJ Beathard is going to be 4th round. And I would expect him to come off the board somewhere in the range of rounds 5 through 7. Once again, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a comment. Interacting with you guys is always my favorite part about making these videos. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter at RobDFB. But that's really all I got for you today. I will see you all next time.